Very late with today's video. We're having a new carpet laid in the living room. Complete total nightmare, to be honest, but if I get out of the way you can perhaps just see it. There we go. So I'm very late getting the video done today. Very sorry about that. Apologies for being so late. We're going to have a look at the weather for November, then going out into winter. It's been an extraordinary CFS run has appeared today, and we're going to run through the CFS run in a moment from the website web.net, and run through the temperatures. Absolutely extraordinary. It's the coldest CFS run I've ever seen. I'm not saying it's going to come off, but let's have a look at it for prosperity, at least. Or should that be posterity? Anyway, let's have a look at it and see it and save it, really, for future reference. Now, the storm. Just to get serious for a moment, the storm. I've updated my blog this morning, taking into account the morning runs of the models. They're all going to be updating in the next hour or two, so I'll probably do an update this evening on Sunday evening, Monday morning storm. It may be a written blog on my Flash page, or it could be a video that will be appearing on my Stormwatch page. Keep it on my Twitter and Facebook accounts anyway, because I'll let you know later on when we've got all of those evening runs in, exactly what format it's going to take. It could be written, or it may be video on the Stormwatch page, I'm not sure, but certainly I'll be doing some sort of update this evening, taking into account what looks to be a very, very significant storm event on the way for Sunday into Monday. This video is going to concentrate on the longer range. Now, before I go on, I'll talk about the advertising. There's video ads on my pages at gazweathervids.com. Please play video ads. You'll be supporting gazweathervids.com by doing that. So let's get on with the JMA. It's updated today, as it always does, on a Friday. This is for the next month, so taking us through November. It's 500 millibar heights that we're looking at, but 500 millibar heights, as you know, are useful for extrapolating where the high pressure and the low pressure areas are going to be appearing. This first weekly period, it's broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period is taking us from the 24th to around the 1st of November, so taking us through the rest of October. And look at this, we're pretty sure it's just there, we're upside down, but it's easy enough to make out what's going on there. We've got a very big and extensive area of below average heights, deep blue colours, a deep trough sitting around and to the north of the British Isles. That's a very intense area of low pressure. High pressure is down to the south, so what we've got basically is what we've had, which is a very strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic into Europe, taking that trough of low pressure through. It's very, very unsettled for the final week of October, and that looks pretty good. I think we are going to have another really unsettled week as we go into next week. Now, as we have a look at the second weekly period, which will be taking us through the first week of November, and what we see then is the lower heights, the trough, beginning to lift out a little bit and starting to move eastwards. We've still got the blue colours over British Isles, but they're much less intense. They're starting to move up towards the north. We've got high pressure building up here across western parts of Russia. We've also got high pressure in the Atlantic. That's still a pretty unsettled scenario, but I think what we would be expecting with that is certainly less intense rainfall, much less of a risk of strong, severe gale force winds, that kind of thing, and certainly some drier spells coming through. So if that's right, we're looking at improvements through the first week of November. The weather should start to improve. With the trough moving more towards the east, though, it could turn a little bit cooler. I think it do start to bring in somewhat cooler air from a more northwesterly point in the Atlantic. And then finally going through to the third and fourth weekly periods, which is taking us to the second and third weeks of November, so taking us more or less up to around the 22nd, 23rd of November. What we're looking at then, quite interesting, is a big area of above average height starting to build to the east of the country. We're losing the below average heights, we're losing the blue colours, and excuse me, the yellow colours are indicating an area of high pressure developing to the east and the northeast of the country. Now, that's important for one reason, because it's going to dry things out a lot if it comes off. We will see any flooding problems that we're going to get at the end of October with these deep areas of low pressure abating. That's why it will turn drier. But perhaps more importantly is it will be turning a lot colder if that's right, because the winds would be coming from an east or a northeasterly or a southeasterly direction off a rapidly cooling continent. So the winds are turning easterly around that area of high pressure sitting to the east and the northeast. I think middle part of November could be turning really a lot cold. We'd certainly be expecting some frost to come in with that area of high pressure. Now let's have a look at the latest CFS city forecast from the website weatherweb.net. In a moment we'll extend this out through December and into January, but what it's showing for the immediate future for November is that things will be cooling off a lot. We're starting off very warm, of course, at the moment. We're well above average. We are going to see a bit of a drop occurring as we go through into the final week of October. Not going to get particularly cold, but down towards average, somewhere around 12-13 degrees. This is the city forecast for Birmingham, by the way, so it's a pretty good representation of central England. But we do see things dropping quite a lot from the very warm temperatures that we've got at the moment down to much more seasonable and sort of average type conditions as we go through that final week of October next week. And as we go on into November, we're seeing things cooling again around the 6th, 7th of November. We're getting quite cold then. And we keep that going for quite a few days, actually, to around the middle of the month. And then we get a bit of a pickup for a while. It does warm up a little bit around, say, the 19th, 20th, 21st of November. And then we drop down again as we get through to around the 22nd and the 23rd. And we stay quite cold then to the end of November and going out into the start of December as well. That really is quite cold indeed. Frosty periods with that, well, certainly at the end of November and the start of December. Also, probably the risk of some frost. This is a city forecast meant for Birmingham, so certainly in rural localities there'd be risk of frost around there from around the 6th to the 12th of November. And possibly even at the very end of the month we could get some slight frost. But you can see very clearly what's happening there. The overall trend is down from that high point that we're in at the moment. We never get back to that. So once that clears next week and it turns cooler, we never really return. And certainly by the time we get through to the end of November into the start of December, things going really quite cold indeed during that period. Now that could tie in quite nicely with what we just looked at. With the JMA. It could tie in quite nicely, because if the JMA is right, we build that high pressure to the east and the northeast. That would certainly start to drag in cooler air from the east or the southeast. Continent rapidly cooling down now. So high pressure to the east of the country in the middle of November would be quite cold. I think that could tie in quite nicely what we're seeing with that CFS run. Now I say the CFS run was very extraordinary today, so let's have a look at it in terms of temperatures broken down into week period. This is the mean maximum temperature for the first week ending at the 31st of October. And we've got temperatures then between around, say, 7 and 13 degrees. So we're about where we should be. We saw that on the city forecast for Birmingham, about where we should be. Cooler than this week, but not particularly cold. Going through to the first week of November, this ends the week the 7th of November, and it's cooling off again. It's not desperately cold, but it is colder, a lot colder really, with maximums between around, say, 5 and 10 degrees. That's proper sort of autumnal type feel. Again, weekend in the 14th, quite cold. This is below average now. We're between around, say, 3 and 7 degrees. That is below average for the middle of November. As we saw on the city forecast for Birmingham, temperatures pick up a little bit as we go through to weekend in the 21st. We do turn it a bit milder. I think it probably turns it even warmer than this. This is just in 4 to 10, but I think it would probably pick up more than that, probably up to 12 or 13 again. But as we go to the weekend of the 28th, as we saw on the city forecast, temperatures start to drop again at the end of November. So we're going back towards 5s, 6s and 7s. And then just waiting to see what happens next. The weekend in the 5th of December, it turns really cold with temperatures just 2, 3, 4 degrees at best. Central parts of England struggling to get above freezing. The weekend in the 12th of December, very cold again. Temperatures struggling to get above freezing countrywide. And things get colder as we go through to the 19th of December, with temperatures then sub-zero across many parts of the country. That's but bitterly cold, with temperatures really struggling to get above freezing anywhere across the country. Even colder the week going up to Boxing Day. This is the weekend in the 26th of December, so over Christmas period, severely cold. Look at that, maximums of -3, -4 for central England. That really is extraordinarily cold. Look how cold it is on the continent. Virtually all of the continent locked into the freezer at -9, -10. The next week going out to the 1st of January, New Year's Day, very cold, not quite as cold, but still sub-zero virtually across the whole country. So this is weeks and weeks and weeks of severely cold weather going on through December into January. January the 8th, again, we're struggling to get above freezing anywhere. And then finally, as we go through to the last week that we can look at, which is January the 15th, if anything, the cold is intensifying again. Look at that, maximums are just -2, -3 degrees through the middle of January. So that is what 4 or 5 weeks of very or severely cold weather with no letter. Now, that's probably because the CFS model has lost the plot, but if that's anywhere near right, we're looking at extraordinarily cold conditions from December into January. Now, I say my suspicion is that's happening because CFS lost the plot, and we won't see anything like as significant as that, but at least we've saved that for posterity. I got the word right this time. At least we've saved it, so it's in the video there. It'll last forever. We can see that the CFS at one point on the run-up to winter was forecasting an extraordinarily and severely cold winter. All of those charts, by the way, are from the website weatherweb.net. You can find the links to that at my links page. Hope you found the video interesting. But December and January stuff is really just for fun. I think the idea for November, though, is that we will be cooling off. We could turn it quite chilly through the middle of the month, that high pressure builds to the east. But we will be drying out, and we'll be ending the deep, vigorous areas of low pressure. And talking of that, I'll be updating later when we get all the evening models in. It'll be after 8 o'clock. When we get all of those in, I'll be doing an update, either in blog form or video form, not sure, about Monday, so night Monday storm. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.